Hello, and welcome back to Leader for Newbies. Again, no offence meant with the term newbies, but welcome back. I hope you're well. I hope you're having a good day, and I hope you enjoyed the sort of introductory episode. I hope it whet your appetite significantly, and you've come back for more, hopefully. But yes, welcome back. Today we are going to be delving into the relationship, or not to spoil it, but lack of relationship between Franz Schubert, one of the most influential composers of Western classical music, native to Austria, Vienna, and Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, a German poet whose writings were some of the best in German literature at the time. And yeah, we're going to delve into that relationship and some writings and some music that they worked on together. But yes, Schubert died at the age of 31. What a great shame. Lived a very short life. But he still managed to compose 650 pieces of Lieder, which is incredible. 650 pieces of Lieder, died at 31. Yes, incredible man, and Goethe just equally incredible. With some of the, he wrote plays, poems, wrote lots of things. He was equally known in his own right. On a separate note, I thought we'd change the location. While the sun's out, I thought I'd enjoy it. Although it was a little bit better about 10 minutes ago. And the clouds are starting to come over, but we hope and pray that the sun stays out for these two, because they really do deserve it. This dynamic sort of duo of musical and poetic brilliance. I hope the sun stays out. But yeah, let's get into it. And I want to start by using another quote from James Newby. And this quote, and I think I used another quote in the introduction video, but these quotes are coming from a interview between him and the very famous British organist Anna Lapwood. And I will link that interview in the description of this video. And I strongly recommend it, because they have a really good conversation about Lieder, and you get to see James Newby sing, which is nice. Bit of a Der El König, which we will talk about in a little bit more depth later on. But yes, we're going to start with that quote, and that quote goes like this: "With tiny little changes of harmony or rhythm, all these tiny little things pins down beautifully exactly how you feel as a human being." And that is referring to Lieder, by the way. And he's right. Lieder makes you feel things, whether that's through the harmony or the rhythm. It makes you feel things, and Schubert is one of the best at doing that. He takes it to a whole new level. He really does. And it's really strange how wonderful the music of Schubert and the text of Goethe, how wonderful it works together, because there is no actual proof that these two ever met. And I found an article here by Michael Lorenz. I'll link it in the description as well, so you can have a read if you want. It states here on that article, Goethe had received a package of Lieder written by Schubert, as well as a dedication of 3 songs using Van Goethe's texts. but he never replied or showed any appreciation. That's interesting, to me at least. Why is that? Why? We'll explore it. We won't go into it now. I'm just gonna. I've thrown that one out there, and you're just gonna have to sit and wait on it because I want to talk about it later. There's other things I want to talk about. We'll go back to that. There's questions. There's some really important questions. Why did he not reply? What sort of does Goethe even have any musical background? Those are some questions that we might answer later. Like I said earlier, we're going to talk about Der König, a pillar of German lieder, in my opinion. We're also going to talk about Gretchen and Spinnrade. Again, an absolute banger. We are talking about some great pieces of art song here. And these are just two of the biggest. I've picked two absolute bangers, two massive sings, massive plays. These are really, really great songs. We are going to look at them shortly. But I just want to talk about Schubert and how, he lived a short life. He also wasn't really appreciated outside of this small sort of circle in Vienna. And it wasn't really after his death that he was sort of rivaled and discovered by other sort of German composers like Brahms, Mendelssohn, and Schumann. And these guys just sort of took the baton on. They took the baton and they just kept running with it. But Schumann was the guy. These guys would have taken massive influence from Schubert. And, Schumann wrote some amazing lieder, really pretty lieder. Mendelssohn did some lieder as well, did a lot of other vocal work. And Brahms as well. Incredible stuff. He did some symphonic stuff as well as Mendelssohn. Did some really good stuff. But I feel like Schubert probably influenced these guys quite a lot. He really was one of the most influential and prolific composers. Like I said, 650 leads in 20 years. One of the most influential and prolific composers in Western classical music. Now I've got a quote here from Dr. Ellen Denham. Now I forgot to say, I'm going to be referring to Dr. Ellen Denham's article throughout this sort of next 20 minutes. I'll link it as well so you can read it. The article was titled Schubert and Goethe, a Transcendence of Competing Aesthetics. I will be referring to Dr. Ellen Denham. She's got some really nice opinions and a lot of historical knowledge as well that I want to draw on. So I just thought I'd sort of give her a bit of respect there because she is a legend. A little quote here from Dr. Ellen. I've plucked this out of thin air from her article here. Schubert's Goethe settings are argued by many to be among the composer's finest work, approaching a perfect synthesis of music and text. Perfect synthesis of music and text. That is bang on, Ellen. It's incredible. The way that he's able to merge the music, and the music just sort of highlights the text via, again, subtle harmonic changes or subtle rhythmic changes, or it could be dynamic markings, it could be tempo markings, it could be structure. These things all help highlight the text. And we're going to talk about an example here. Gretchen and Spinnrade. We mentioned it earlier. Text from Goethe. The text is taken from a very, very famous play called Faust. You might have heard of it. Tragic play by Faust. And it's taken from that. And Schubert takes it and he writes a piece of lied about it. Franz Liszt, the symphonic composer, also wrote a whole symphony about Faust, and about the character of Faust. which is a nice little fun fact. It's a great symphony. You should go listen to it if you're into your symphonic listening. But yes, Gretchen and Spinrada. Gretchen is the love interest of Faust. And this is taken from the play, the text. And Gretchen is talking about how much she misses Faust. How much she, talking about things that Faust has promised her, maybe. And while she's talking about these things, she is spinning a spinning wheel. A spinning wheel is a continuous wheel that is used to make clothing or material. And it is driven by a pedal. So you push this pedal down like that, and the wheel spins continuously. As long as you press the pedal, that thing is going to keep spinning. Very, very, very repetitive motion, very repetitive action to do. And I'm just going to play you with that in mind, with that sort of idea of the spinning wheel in mind. I'm going to play you the couple seconds of the opening piano part. I don't know how much I can play, but we'll play a little bit. Right, here we go. You can hear that cyclic semi-quaver sort of pattern in the right hand. That is clearly depicting that spinning wheel I mentioned. Clearly. Continuous. That sort of right hand pattern continues throughout the whole piece, by the way. It's continuous. It's almost like what's the word? It's like it's just sort of lulling you. It's there. It's continuous, and it really highlights that. It really depicts that spinning wheel perfectly. And he's so clever the way he does it. I mean, that, by the way, that is incredibly hard piano piece to play. I would recommend you listen to it. See if you can find just an accompaniment of that piece, because it's really interesting to listen to the accompaniment and listening to that pattern continuously throughout the piece and how it subtly changes it through harmony. It's great. He also, the time signature he uses, 6/8. Puts emphasis on the beats, the first and the fourth beats of the bar, and in it, those almost depict her pressing the pedal with her foot, and together, with those two sort of musical ideas, you sort of before the singer is that's a bar of introduction, before the singer comes in. You've already got that idea of the spinning wheel there. You don't even need to look at the text. It's there. You can hear the spinning wheel. You can almost see the spinning wheel. You can hear her. You can see her pressing it, running it with her pedal, just continuously hitting it with her foot. And it is so clever. It's so clever. The way that he just does that subtly. And while we're on the topic, Der König, similar idea. Let me play it. You can hear that right-handed pattern, continuous. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You can hear that. Der König is a poem, obviously Goethe, about a father and his child are riding a horse in the woods, and the child starts to see this freak-like creature that is following the child, trying to take the child. He's screaming to his dad, there's this thing following us, it's going to take me. And the dad goes, chill out, it's just the wind, it's the trees, you're just seeing things. And that semi-quaver pattern that is it's continuous, by the way, similar to the Gretchen and Spinrada. It is continuous throughout the whole piece, pretty much, apart from the end when the child is unfortunately dead, lying in the father's arms. It stops. The whole thing stops, and the horse stops because the child is dead. But it's continuous, and it just paints that image perfectly. It's like you know, it's what I love about Lieder. The pianist and the singer work together. It's not the pianist show. It's not the singer show. They're accompanying each other. They're working together to portray a story. And Schubert just does it so well. And Lieder in general does it so well. And Art Song does it so well. But Schubert in particular, it's like he's painting. He's got his big canvas and he's gone, right, clouds there. Going to put the sun in the corner like always. Trees, but the trees are going to be blowing in the wind. And then the singer just goes through all of that. The pianist is just painting that image, and the singer's just singing in between. He's just singing the story, and the pianist is colouring in. He's highlighting. He's just making the story more. He's making it easier for the audience or the listener to read or listen. It's just so good. You can tell I like it, right? I'm getting a bit neaky. I'm getting a bit excited, actually. I can feel myself getting excited. But I am. It's really good music. I did promise we'd go back to Goethe and Schubert. And we're back. We're ready. I've had a little detour, but I'm here. I'm back. Goethe's understanding for music, his natural musicality. It's thought to have been limited due to his sort of neglection of Schubert's works that he sent him. But, that's a very big but. Goethe spent a lot of time with the composer Carl Zelter. I don't know much about Carl Zelter. I don't know much about his music. I don't know if it was ever published. But he spent a lot of time with this guy for years. They came up with this theoretical system that I've put in inverted commas there. That's what Dr. Ellen calls it, this theoretical system. And coming up with texts that are specifically designed to be set to Zelter's music. So you would think he's gained a bit of musical understanding from that in itself, working with a composer for so long, so closely, and coming up with ways to set music easier. He must have some sort of musical understanding. His parents were both amateur musicians. They even encouraged him and convinced Goethe to take lessons for the piano at the age of 14. He was playing the piano. And in 1770, he spent a year learning the cello. So he must have had some sort of understanding of harmony and musical structure. He must have done. But Dr. Ellen makes another very sort of interesting point here relating to Goethe's sort of disrespecting acknowledgement of Schubert's works. One's like theoretical or musical understanding or lack of understanding won't stop a poet from interpreting how a text should sound. Dr. Ellen puts it, this is how she puts it. It is impossible that if Goethe was musical enough to imagine his poetry and poetic songs in a musical context, it might make him reluctant to embrace settings that differ significantly from how he might hear them in his head. So basically, it's like when he's, I don't know, if you're a writer and you're knowing your poem's going to be set to music, you're going to hear that poem in a certain way. You're going to know what the music's going to sound like. Again, that could be another reason why, as to why he sort of ignored Schubert's sort of, not cry, but, his sort of, his wanting to be involved with Goethe, The other point to make is that these two were from a completely different generation. They were separated by 48 years, by the way. There was a 48-year age gap. And it would be understanding of Goethe to imagine him not embracing the interpretations of someone so young. It's like you're 50, 60 years old, you've spent your whole life writing, and this little freak comes up to you snapping at your ankles like, look at this music that I've written with your poems. you just slap him away. You've probably had composers done that to you for years. You've got Carl Zelter on the side. You work with him really well. Why would you listen to a little young guy that in Goethe's head probably doesn't know much? Why would you listen to that? Why would you? You know, it's an interesting point to make. I don't know. It's an interesting point to make. You know, well, if we refer back to going back slightly to Der König, I managed to find an account by the German-based baritone Eduard Gnast, of which he recalls Goethe's comments to an 1830 performance of said work by an operatic soprano. It states, I heard this composition once before when it did not appeal to me, but performed like this, the whole song shapes itself into a visible image. So he's heard this before. Was Der König part of this package that Schubert had sent him in 1816? By the way, so the package was sent in 1816. Was Der König part of this package? Probably, right? It probably was. Sorry, I thought I heard someone outside. Anyway, it probably was part of this package. And he's heard it before. He said, the first time I heard it, it didn't appeal to me. But upon second hearing, performed like this, the whole song shaped itself into a visible image. I was talking earlier about the painting with the trees and the sun and the sky and the clouds. This visible image. He's painting this image with the piano and the vocals sort of together. You know, this could be a commendation of the performer, of the singer, but it's important to note that Goethe didn't necessarily neglect Schubert and the music he had sent him. It's interesting to know. And his second hearing was more positive than the first. If only Schubert lived a bit longer, am I right? If only he lived a bit longer. We shall never know, unfortunately. And I think I'm going to leave it there. Before I ramble on any more, I'm going to leave it there. And I might do a part 2. I'm considering doing like an added extra part to this because it is quite interesting to me. And I do love the music of Schubert and the writings of Goethe. So we might have to do a part 2. But that is all from me for now. The next instalment of this leader for Newbies will probably be, I've decided, about Beethoven's And die Fern geliebt, To My Distant Beloved. One of the only sort of recognisable song cycle Beethoven wrote. We're going to go into depth. I've sung it before. I want to sing it again. And I want to talk about it because it is incredible. The poetry, brilliant. The music, Beethoven. We know how good this guy is. We're going to go into depth. So get the translation, get the music, listen to it in preparation. And I hope you have a good day. And I hope I haven't bored you. And I hope I see you again soon or hear from you again soon. Yeah, thank you for listening. And goodbye.